Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to give everyone about 2 minutes just to make sure that everyone's logged in. It's 11:01 at the moment, so we're just going to give everyone another 2 more minutes. All righty, it looks like a few participants have joined us already. So just to be polite with everyone's time, we're going to go ahead and get started. So good morning. My name is Suhei Mojica. I am the Senior Program Manager here at San Pablo Economic Corporation. Welcome to the Tax Basics webinar. Today you will learn about your tax reporting responsibilities. We will also discuss tax classifications, deductions, sales tax collection, and record keeping requirements. You'll also have the opportunity to ask questions about taxes that apply specifically to your business. You will also get the latest on COVID-19 tax updates and additional resources. As our economy recovers from the pandemic, San Pablo Economic Development Corporation and its community partners remain committed to supporting small businesses. Let's see here. Sorry. Okay, so just before we get started, we do have some housekeeping items that I would like to go over with everyone. This recording, we are recording this webinar for others to watch later. Our recording will be available on our website at www.sanpabloedc.org. Just keep in mind that everyone is muted. If you do have a question and we welcome them, please type them in the Q&A or in the chat box, and we will answer them during or at the end of the webinar. So if everyone looks down below on their screen, you should see a chat box and a Q&A box. Please feel free to write in your questions there, and I will check them throughout the presentation. Let's see here. So the San Pablo Economic Development Corporation is a full-service organization for economic growth in Contra Costa County. We are here to help you establish critical connections you need to succeed in our diverse business ecosystem. San Pablo EDC also provides a broad range of affordable housing opportunities and services to enable low, moderate income residents to gain better housing and financial stability. We also offer various workforce programs, from career training funding, childcare funding for working residents, and job training, and much more. Please visit our website at sanpabloedc.org or call us for more information. And this right here is just a tool that we have created here at San Pablo EDC. We are welcome that if you want a PDF copy of it, it is available on our website, or you can contact me directly and I will be more than happy to send this over to you. It's really a roadmap on how to start your business or grow your business. We're here to connect you to business resources that can help you start or grow, whether you're a startup, an existing business. Our resources will give you just everything you need to succeed, or we connect you to our community partners. Let's see here next. So if no further ado, I would like to present our presenter today. This webinar was possible with the help of our wonderful partner, Monica Buenrostro. We are grateful for her partnership and collaboration with San Pablo EDC. So just to give you a little bit background before I give her the platform, Monica was born in Mexico, and she came to the United States with her family when she was 12 years old, only speaking her native language, Spanish. By the time she finished high school at Lionel Wilson Prep in Oakland, she had already mastered English, for which she earned the English Excellency Award. After high school, Monica attended San Francisco State University and graduated with a BA in biological science. As she aspired to become a medical doctor, not long after her graduation, Monica realized that becoming a medical doctor wasn't the only way to help people. She realized after working for 4 tax seasons preparing taxes, how much need there was in the financial world. Thus, Monica decided to stay in tax preparation services and later expanded her business into insurance and financial services. So Monica has over several years of tax experience, and she will be here today. She has an expanded knowledge about tax planning, preparation. I believe she's been doing this over 8 years now, and she has launched her financial services business, as well opened up her own tax and financial services firm called True Bond Financial in Pinole. So for no further ado, Monica, please, this is your platform. So thank you again for joining us and giving us your time to talk to our business community about just the basics of taxes, which is, I think it's a good way to start for anyone that's looking to get more information and understand their taxes better. So good morning.
Good morning to you and to everyone who's listening to the presentation. I really want to thank you for your time. And Sue, if you could just unshare your screen so that I can go ahead and share my own. Perfect. There we are. So just once again, my name is Monica Buenrostro. I am with True Bond Financial, a very young company that I started just 2 years back. I actually decided to open up, and not long after that, I found out I was pregnant, and I now have a young boy who is over a year. Nonetheless, I'm still with the business and it's keeping really, really busy. One of the biggest things of why I decided to stay in taxes is because I realized that most people did not understand their own taxes. And so they were going to tax professionals who were so busy and just give you the time to prepare and sign here. This is your refund, or this is how much you owe, and that's it. So I decided to change it up a little bit and make sure that I was focusing a lot more on explaining your own situation. And I'm actually going to get started and just go back to the very basics. For taxes, there are primarily for individuals, so that is self-employed and anyone that works for under W-2, just for you to see the differences in between one and the other. My presentation, I try to make it as casual as possible, so feel free to ask any questions at any moment. If also you don't feel very comfortable with that chat box, please take a look at my number, which is on the bottom right of the screen. That is a cell phone number, so feel free to text a question. If you have it, I do have it in front of me, so I might be able to answer it. And also if it's more tailored to your own situation, also that might be another gateway for us to begin the communication in regards to anything that we speak about today, or anything that I may not cover during our presentation. Also for our Spanish speakers, I am very fluent in Spanish. So hablo español. Si ustedes tienen preguntas, por favor. Mi número de teléfono está en la pantalla, anótenlo, me pueden llamar o mandar un mensaje. Well, let's get started. So literally when I said that we're going back to the very basics, I really meant it. This is a picture of the 1040. Clearly I have to use 2020 because that's that tax year that we just completed. Anyone that had extensions, they just expired on October 15th. And I'm just gonna cover the very just basic information of what's included in this form. So to begin with, every tax form will require your personal information. And very importantly, the way the taxes get calculated, which status to give you and how much to charge you for your income, is based on the filing status. So that is a very important part of the taxes that a lot of times gets overlooked. And the one with the highest tax brackets are single individuals. the government does believe that, if you are single, you have a little bit less responsibilities at home, and therefore you should be providing a little bit more. And the one with the lowest tax brackets are married filing jointly. And the example that I will be illustrating a little bit further, I am using the married filing jointly status just to keep things a little bit more simple. But whether it is single individuals, as you'll see on the first arrow on the left, whether it's married filing jointly, married filing separate, or head of household, those are the different tax or statuses that are available that will determine how much in taxes you get charged. Everything else on this screen, it's primarily just your personal information. So whether or not you're filing together with your spouse or including your dependents, they could be your kids or your parents if you're taking care of them. But primarily, of course, there are rules, and you should always be checking with your own personal tax preparer. And if you do have questions, again, feel free to reach out. Okay, so these are the tax brackets. Very simply, on the tax brackets, we are using the married filing jointly. Most people believe that taxes are paid on the total amount of income. So a lot of times I get the question of, hey, how much can I make and not owe the IRS? There's no such a thing. So taxes are tiered, which means that from zero income to, in this case, almost $20,000, they'll charge you 10% on that income. From that 19,901 to 81,000, they'll charge you 12%. And they'll continue to add up the different tiers, and that's how your taxes get calculated. So taxes in theory are very simple, but when you actually go back and do the math, it's a little bit complicated. And I'm actually going to take a really good pause. There's a question there. I don't know if Suhi, you want to read them. Oh, it was from you. Got it. So Suhi, if you could do me a favor, if any questions do come in, please interrupt me and ask them out loud, so that way I am aware and I'm not reading them.
Will do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so just on this example, our biggest tax bracket for this upcoming year will be 37%, and that is for the high earners. I mean, don't know to who really I'm speaking to. I don't know if you fall anywhere in between the first two brackets or in the last two brackets. Nonetheless, as you can see, as your income continues to grow, so does your tax liability. So the real question is, what is really the difference in between being self-employed or sole proprietor versus being an employee? There are a lot of different responsibilities that a self-employed has versus an employee. An employee, really, your only job is to make sure that you get to work on time and that you're doing whatever your employer told you to do. Typically, you do get paid on the hourly basis. Some people do get paid on a salary, but what that means is just that at the end of the year, you will be receiving a W-2. Any deductions such as federal taxes, state disability, and or anything else typically gets deducted prior to you receiving your pay. So by the time you receive your money, whether it is on a physical check or in direct deposit directly to your bank account, you don't have to worry about the taxes anymore. Everything has been taken care of. From that point forward, you get to spend your money as you please. They usually do provide some form of benefits. These have been diminishing over time. More and more employers are starting to offer less benefits. Nonetheless, they do tend to offer some form of benefits, whether that is a 401k option or health insurance, things of such form. Now, when you're self-employed, as many of you will know, your income comes from the sales that you make or the services that you provide. Typically, in order for you to make or get those sales or provide that service, you are required to buy any supplies or buy goods that you might be sell, or anything of that sort. Also, you have to keep track of your accounting. So you have to make sure that you're not only working and doing what you love to do, but that you're also keeping track of the money that's coming in, the money that's going out. How is it that you're spending your money and what kind of deductions, so that you can get to report them at the end of the year. You are also responsible to buy your own benefits. So you can start a IRA, which is that individual retirement account versus a 401k that typically an employer provides you. You can buy those in the banks. I mean, you have to take care of your own retirement, and also you have to provide your own health insurance. If you are, or you do have income, you have the option to pay your taxes quarterly and send them on estimated payments directly to the IRS and to the state, or you get to pay them at the end of the year.
Monica,
Yes.
there is a question. Do you want to
Yes.
answer it now? Okay. The question is, if I work part-time and I have state disability, etc., already paid through my employer, do I still have to pay those if I have no profits yet?
I'm not exactly sure what you say those. Do you,
Yeah.
are you,
I
can you,
think she's, or this person is referring to they work part-time and have state disability, and it says etc. So I don't know if there's more than just disability paying paid.
what I
That
would do, I mean, if you're referring to the federal and state, or if you're talking about the quarterly taxes, whether or not your income is taxable, it all depends on the type of disability that you have. If you do work part-time, I mean, you still have to complete a tax return at the end of the year. And again, I'm not sure if I'm tackling your question correctly, but you do still need to pay some form of taxes.
I think
Whether or
they
not
say,
you,
yeah,
what is it?
they just clarified and they said, do I have to pay federal and state taxes?
It all depends on your income and your filing status. You know, when I said that I was like, you know, the statuses play a role, well, this is it. If you file as a single individual, you can earn up to 12,400 as of last year. I can't recall the new numbers for this upcoming year. But you know, you can earn up to that amount and you will not be charged any taxes. Anything above 12,400, you will start to pay taxes. And I'm gonna go back to the grid. You'll start going over this tax rates. Again, this is for a married filing jointly individual. The ones for single, typically you pay 10% for the first $10,000 after your standard deduction. So any dollar above the 12,400, you will begin to pay taxes on it and start to go through the different tiers. Hopefully that helps you. Otherwise, again, feel free to take my number and give me a call to explain a little bit further your situation. I'm more than happy to give you a free 30-minute consultation, and anyone else on this call.
Sounds good. Thank you, Monica.
Of course. Is there more questions today?
No, that was the only one so far.
Okay. So now, how does self-employment keep track of their expenses? You really should be creating a profit and loss. This is a very good example of one. A lot of people, when they're starting out, they don't want to pay an accountant, and probably it's not necessary. You just have to do your homework and really start doing your numbers. There's a specific profit and loss statement. I actually got it from Word. So I'm using an example that is free and accessible to anyone who has Word access. Literally what it has is you input your income. So you are responsible of tracking your income and also your different types of expenses. On this case, I did add some expenses on advertisement, whether that was to build your website, to buy your business cards, or even because you're paying advertisements on Facebook or Yelp or any of those categories will be under that. Further down as you go, you know, if you do have business insurance, you will expense that. Anything that is educational, which gets overlooked a lot, if you do any seminars that you're paying, or if you pay in any form of membership or subscriptions to make sure that, you know, you're staying on top of whatever it is that you're doing or is helping for your business, those are taxable or tax deductions too. The reason why I say that is so important and cannot express it enough, it's so important to keep track of expenses, is because for every dollar that you're not organized, you will have to pay taxes over that amount. So if I say that I have, like in this example, the original gross profit was 150,000, and based on the different expenses that I threw on there, I'm saying that 27,773 were expenses. That means that they're gonna take that out of the income and not pay taxes over that amount, and will pay taxes over the 122,000 that is left. And so when I say that you really have to be really meticulous and careful when you're keeping track of your expenses, is because of this. When you are self-employed and you're receiving the money prior to paying the taxes, it looks amazing. It looks beautiful. Every single dollar that is coming in, a lot of times you think it's for you to grab and spend, but you're forgetting that you also need to start putting some money aside for when taxes come. Now I'm gonna go on to the next one. Now, what are some ways on how you can keep track of income? I really recommend for you to open a business account. It's very easy to open it up, and typically your income goes directly on there. You can see in your statements how much money is coming in, but also, of course, transfer that information onto a spreadsheet or something like what I just showed you right now, the profit and loss statement, where you're just keeping track of everything. If you are a little bit further in the business or have more transactions, I do recommend QuickBooks. I personally use it. Excuse me. I personally use it. If you do sell or have transactions where you do have to charge a credit card, usually the merchant will start sending you those 1099s at the end of the year. There used to be a minimum. It looks like they're going to take that out. And for anyone who just uses a merchant, such as Square or any other, PayPal or any of those, it looks like they're going to start issuing them out a 1099 regardless. So those are some of the ways to keep track of your expenses. For others, of course, you sometimes use a POS system that just keeps tracks of your inventory, as well as your sales and income, of course, coming in. The form 1099.
Sorry, Monica. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to say something about the profit and loss statement that you just went over on the prior slide. Just for any of the businesses that are here, that profit and loss statement that Monica was referring to, it's very important that every business, regardless of how small you are, that you have this profit and loss. As everyone knows, throughout the pandemic, when the PPPs, the loans came out and all of the grants that were giving out to help small businesses through the pandemic, this was a requirement. A lot of the organizations and bank lending companies that were providing this help to businesses, this was one of the items that was, you couldn't get past that. The banks wanted to know what income was coming out and what expenses were going out. So this is really good information that she's giving you. Again, it is something that any bank is going to ask you for, along with a business plan, in order to extend a loan offer to you. So again, if you have questions on how to prepare one and so on, I'm pretty sure Monica will be open to help you with that. But that was just a comment. So I just wanted to interact how important profit and loss statement is to a small business, regardless of their size. So.
Yeah, and no need to apologize, Suhid. Honestly, I mean, everyone is here to get information. And so I'm very happy that you just jumped back in there. It's very important. I mean, there's different ways to track, and that's the reason why I started with the general expense. And right now we're just going to show you a little bit more on how you can keep track of it. Literally, this profit and loss, some people choose to do a monthly. So every month you're seeing how much money's coming in and how much money's going out, so that you get to see the picture. So a lot of times it's not about the tax preparer or the IRS, but really also about your own business. You should know your numbers. You should know what's working, what's not working. If you commit to creating one of these on a monthly basis, you will see what's working for you and what's not working for you. but I'm getting off track. I'm focusing on the taxes for now. Now, deductions. So deductions, of course, is what all of us business owners love, because the more deductions we have, the less we have to pay in taxes. And we, of course, love that, given that we, of course, like to pay our fair share. This is a very simplified form to keep track of expenses. I also found this on Excel. It's very easy to find. It's just literally a profit and loss for business, or I forget the real name, but it's on Excel too. And if you need a copy, I am more than happy to provide it. But more than anything, again, just like I was telling you, if you keep track of your expenses on a monthly basis, at least at a bare minimum, you should be able to see which months you're spending more money, which months you're not, you're not spending as much, and compare it to your income, and you'll be able to analyze. But more importantly, when you go to your tax preparer, when you go to the total column of it, when you add everything up at the end of the year, you can either leave it on that sheet or take it back onto this sheet where you'll just be able to see it along with everything else. But it becomes very simple. So literally, travel expenses, these are some of the most common expenses as well. Legal and professional fees, or interest payments that you might be paying on the business credit card, or things like that, or any loans that you may have. Something that I haven't touched on is business expenses. They can get a little bit tricky. Most people end up using the mileage deduction, where they pay you, I believe for this upcoming year, is 54 cents per mile. And so this is just an example of some of the expenses. Every business is different, and every business has different types of expenses. If you do need help on sorting things out, again, I'm more than happy to help. The best ways to keep track of expenses that I've seen is through an Excel sheet. If you don't have as many expenses, you can tailor it to something that works for you. I still see accounting books. So they do sell those as staples, and I'm sure Amazon has them too. And you can literally just keep track of your expenses there. There are softwares, again, QuickBooks is what I use personally and for a lot of my clients. And so you can literally go on there and just keep track of every single expense and label it after you charge it with your credit card, you paid with a check, or becomes a little more difficult, but even given cash. In my opinion, it's best if you do it weekly, because it's still fresh in your mind. You still remember what that 17.25 cents was when you charge it in your credit card at a XYZ store. So if you do it regularly, it is just not as much homework than if you just try to get it done at the end of the year on April 1st, because you know that April 15th deadline is coming up for taxes and you don't have your business profit and loss. So it's really, really easy to just do it regularly. Just it's a habit that people have to build over time. Something that people are not aware and sometimes get confused about, you are required to keep receipts of anything above 75. Those amounts change, so it might be at around that amount. This is a number that I still remember from last year. I'm still not finished renewing my license for this year, so I don't have that number just yet, but it should be somewhere at around that amount. So keeping track of receipts is important in case of an audit. Bank statements are not enough, not even if it's from a business account. Anything that is above 75, they will be requiring you to prove whether it is with an invoice or a physical receipt. So please make sure that you keep in track of them, and that you, in general, tax returns that are personal, which includes the self-employment section, they have to be kept for a minimum of 3 years. So the IRS has 3 years to come back and ask you for anything, whether that is that they decide to audit the full tax return or just sections of it. In recent time, it's just primarily been sections of it because they're so busy that they don't want to audit the full return. Nonetheless, if they choose to audit a certain return and you have everything organized, not a problem, very easy for you to prove, and very cheaply too, because whether it is you do it by yourself or you have to pay a professional, the less time it takes, meaning the more organized you are, the better for you. And I always have a thing that I always tell all of my clients is that the more organized you are, the cheaper it is for you at the end of the year. Whether it is that you're giving me money to get the work done for you and organize it for you, or you don't have any of the paperwork, now you have to give money to the IRS because you didn't keep track of that paperwork. So it would really, really suck that you actually have a deduction that was business and you just don't have the receipt and therefore cannot really claim it or should not really be claiming it. Now, let's speak about COVID-19. I think at this point, we're all very used to hearing some of these terms. Some of this may apply to you, some of it may not. I'm not really going to go onto the details because it gets very complicated, as the IRS and the business association, they keep changing the rules every month. So it feels so. If you did receive a PPP loan and are working on forgiving it, especially if you received the first round, it is the time to do it now. They're working on that. So please check in with whoever your lender was. Same thing with SBA loans. Please go back to your portal and check on the information. There are some really nice and sweet credits that are coming out. The sick and family leave tax credit, it's been around since last year, but it wasn't widely used. This credit is also available for self-employment individuals. So it is an additional form that we have to file, but for any individual that had to take time off because they contracted COVID-19, or they had to quarantine because they were exposed to COVID-19, or they were taking care of their spouses, kids, or anyone, there is an option for you. It is very personal and it's based on your income. But I mean, when you hear credits that are refundable, such as this, for those of you who have kids, you're very familiar with a child tax credit, you can compare it to that. So credit equals money. So therefore, please ask your tax professional about it and see if you qualify for it. Now, for any individuals that did have losses over the last few years, you might be able to go back and take it against any winnings or any taxes that you already paid. It's very specific. You'll know if you were at a loss in these recent years, and if you pay taxes, it might be convenient to do an amendment and go back and just get your tax liability reduced and get the IRS to return some of that money to you. For anything in any of these, please check with your tax professional of your choice to make sure to see what you actually qualify for and what you should be taking a look into. We do have a few months before the year ends. And so this is where you should be doing all of your laundry, taking care of all of your expenses, anything that you haven't done throughout the year. This might be the time before all of a sudden you're scrambling or you're calling your tax preparer on the busiest time of the year, which is from January to April, when they really don't have much time. So please take care of it now, which is better. Well, that is it from my part. If you guys have more questions, please feel free to reach out. I'll hang out for a few minutes in case anyone has questions. Again, my full information is on there. I do work per appointment only. So that way I don't have people waiting outside my door, and I just think that it's just better, and that way there's not too many people accumulated out inside of the office because we're still dealing with the pandemic. So feel free to reach out. That is a cell phone number, so text also works. Or if you prefer email, feel free to email me as well. And again, thank you so much everyone for your time, and you Suhe as well for opening this channel for me.
Of course. There is a question on self-employment tax, and I don't know if you like shortly covered it, but
okay.
How is it calculated?
So self-employment tax is supplemental. So that tax is additional to what you pay to the federal and the state. So going back to the tax brackets that I showed you, that is for the federal. So pretty much you're paying federal and state and self-employment tax. The self-employment tax, if you've ever had a job where they paid you under the W-2, you might have noticed that they take money out towards Medicare and Social Security. That Medicare and Social Security expense that you're paying on every paycheck, that's what the self-employment tax is. So that gets calculated based on your in your actual profit from the business, and it is a 15.3 um, um, tax rate. So this is not really something that the federal is taking from you. That's pretty much the way that it is. It's just money that you're setting aside for your Social Security benefits and your Medicare benefits for once you reach over the age of 65. So the way that it gets calculated, again, once we determine the profit, if 15.3 gets taken, some of it comes back as a deduction. So it's not as easy. Again, that's just going back to numbers, but to keep things very simple, it's a 15.3 tax that gets added on top of what you're paying federal and state. So at the end of the year, when you're filing taxes and you all of a sudden make $30,000 and you owe $6,000 in taxes, you're like, it's only 30,000. It's primarily because of that.
Got it. Okay, great. So I just want to be, I just have a few slides that I want to share with you all. As Monica mentioned, this is her information. We do have another webinar that will be next week. It will be with the Small Business Administration. We're going to be presenting on resources and access to capital. It's going to be an overview of all of the SBA loans. So please feel free to sign up for our next webinar, which is next week. And I just want to thank our presenter today, Monica, for sharing such great information. So thank you so much for your time, Monica. We really appreciate that you have presented this to our business community. If anyone wants to follow up with Monica, her contact information is also here. So please feel free to reach out if there's a question that's more directly to your business and you prefer to do it on a private call. She's open to speaking to any of our participants today. And again, please join us and register for our next webinar on SBA resources and access to capital. I do see a question before I let everyone go. Let me just make sure that I don't let anyone and finish the presentation without answering. Monica, there's another question. If I'm going to start a reselling business, do I need to register for a business license, and is this necessary for tax purposes? Let me go ahead.
That's not really necessary for tax purposes, but Suhe might be able to provide you with more information. However, if you are registering and there is the fee, that's a tax deduction.
Thank you. So for anyone starting a business, as you guys saw, there is on the roadmap that I showed you earlier, there are steps that you need to take before you open your doors. And it goes from 1 to all the way to 10. So I will be more than happy to share this roadmap with you. And yes, depending on the city where you open your business, you want to check with your city because there will be some requirements in order for you to start a business, whether it's a brick and mortar where you actually have an office, or whether you're providing business, like let's say, for example, you're doing it from home. I would really recommend it, even though it's a business that you're providing services from home. It's always makes it easier to compile all of your stuff differently, but by getting your license, registering your business as a sole proprietor, it's always a good idea to not commingle your bank accounts with your business, activities. Just because, again, like Monica mentioned, it's going to make it so much easier for you to keep things separate versus commingling your personal accounts with now you have a business. It just makes it a lot more of a serious. People will look at you if you go to a bank and later on you need lending once you do your taxes. It's just a good idea to do things the right way from the beginning.
And also, I do want to add that since you did say resale, check in with the city because you more than likely have to pay sales taxes on everything that you sell. So you are the middleman. So you collect the taxes from whoever's buying your product, and literally you're responsible to sending those taxes to the right agency. So I would definitely be checking in with wherever you're in, but I'm sure Suhaim might be able to provide you way more information on that.
Yes, you could definitely reach out to us if you don't know where to start. We just need a little bit of more background in terms of what type of business activities you'll be doing. And based on the city that you're going to be, starting your business, that also has a lot to do. There are areas that are unincorporated, so you have to file with the county. If it's a city that is incorporated, then you do need to follow that city's guidelines. So I don't see any more questions. Again, you have our contact information, so please feel free to reach out to Monica if there's any tax questions that you need help with, or maybe you're looking for a new tax preparer, or okay, looks like I have another question. One second, sorry. It's like, okay, what sounds is that everyone's saying thank you to you, Monica, so thank you.
Yeah.
So again, thank you all for joining us today, and Monica for your time.
Of course.
I hope you all have a wonderful day today. And again, please check our website. Every week we do have webinars pretty much every month on whether it's on housing or business or workforce. So please feel free to email us or call us or visit our website. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time. So thank you. Bye.